Is good? It's your boy Ty back here with another video, and in this video today, guys, we're going to be going through and ranking our best, or honestly, all of the Amethyst cards that we do have in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM. If I left out any of the Amethyst, I do apologize. I tried to get each and every one of them on this list, so again, if there was anyone left off, I do apologize. Before I dive any further, if you're new to the channel, man, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We are on the road towards 130,000 subscribers. When it comes down to Amethyst and Al Horford, I don't love Big Al. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say Big Al stinks, because I use him on my Nobody Spent Squad series, and he is fine, okay? I just don't love his release. He's kind of slow. He doesn't move very well. I just think from top to bottom, there are overall better options than Al Horford in my team. He can hold it down, especially at that power forward position. Just not the biggest fan of the card. Andrew Bogut up next. I'm going to put him at F tier for now, okay? He might get moved up to D tier, depending on if we have any useless Amies like him. I just don't see what he gives you on the court. Now, there's going to be those rare people that are like, oh, Ty, but Andrew Bogut, you know, for me, he does this, he does that, man, he stinks. I'm not going to sit here and gas Andrew Bogut in my team. If you want me to, go watch somebody else. The card stinks. Bam Adebayo up next. I'm going to throw him at B tier for now with the ability to go up to A tier. I really, from top to bottom, like what Bam Adebayo gives you guys on the court. And I know it's not just me. Bam is really solid in my team, and I think it all starts and ends with his release. His release is really good, which in turn, because of his good release, you know, you can green with a not very high three ball, and defensively, he's obviously immaculate. Ben Wallace up next at the center position. I'm going to throw him at C tier. Not quite to that Bam level, but a really solid interior center in my team. The problem with him is he can't shoot, right? That's the big problem with Ben Wallace. If he could shoot the three ball, he'd be way higher. With the lack of the ability to shoot the ball, C tier is as high as I can go. Chris Webber up next, B tier for C Web as well. Think he's better than Ben Wallace. Think he's better than Al Horford. Is he, in my opinion, as good as Bam? Think he's a little worse. So that's where I'd have Chris Webber right now. Do think he's more on the Bam level than the Al Horford, Ben Wallace level. That's why he is at B tier for now. Next up, guys, Damian Lillard. And I actually really don't mind Dame one bit in my team. I'm going to throw him at B tier for now. When you think of offensive point guards, Dame has to be at the top of your list. He's one of the best offensive point guards in my team. His release on quick is very smooth. And here's the deal, guys. He's normally super cheap to run in salary cap if you have the card as well. That's where Damian Lillard gets ran the most for me personally. And every time I match up with anybody in salary cap, normally I do my thing with Mr. Damian Lillard. Dennis Rodman up next, another F tier card. There's going to be people out there, and I've said it in the past, Dennis Rodman does rebound the ball. He plays decent defense, but he can't shoot. He's undersized at that power forward position. He's F tier. I'm sorry if you chose him in your promo packs instead of a guy, let's say, like, I'm just going to throw out a guy, Nate Thurman, for example. He's so much better than Dennis Rodman, it's sad. Devin Booker up next. I think D-Book's our first at minimum A tier player with the ability to go up to S tier. For D-Book, here's the deal, guys. He's just undersized, and defensively, he's not great. Simply put, why he's not at S tier. But if you think about things like this, offensively speaking, he is probably, if not the best card on this list, one of the top two. Like, he offensively is so elite, has the burst, has a crazy fade, has a good standstill jumper, can move and groove, can be your primary ball handler. D-Book is absolutely elite. Dirk, I'm throwing Dirk at D tier. He's better than Rodman and Bogut. He's just not great. The problem with Dirk is he is just so slow. I do use him in salary cap because he is so cheap, and I gotta say, he can knock down the occasional shot. The problem is defensively, he is an absolute liability. And offensively, he does not give you enough to put him any higher than D tier. Dominique Wilkins up next. I'm throwing him into C tier. He's fine. You can run him. He's just not next level good. Like, again, fine, but he just doesn't do anything flashy. Wherever Clyde is, he's at C tier too. Clyde and Dominique Wilkins are very similar. Are they the same card? No, they have different releases, obviously, stuff like that. But they're both going to give you really similar things on the court. Zach LaVine up next. I'm throwing Zach LaVine at B tier. Yes, over Clyde, over Dominique Wilkins. Here's the deal with Zach LaVine. He at least gives you something a little different in his ability to knock down shots, his ability to create. Obviously, defensively, he's not going to be as good as Clyde, not going to be as good as Dominique Wilkins, but does his own thing on the court, and for that, I can respect the card. DeMar DeRozan up next. I'm going B tier with DeMar DeRozan. Another shooting guard here for us, guys, that I don't mind. DeRozan does his thing for you guys on the court. If you want to run DeRozan, I have no issues with it. The problem is, 3-ball is way too low for my liking, but everything else he does on the court at an elite level. Allen Houston up next. I'm going to throw Allen Houston into C tier. He's going to shoot the ball decent. Outside of shooting the ball, what does he provide for you guys on the court? Not much. Defensively, I mean, he's not the worst defender on this list. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and slander him like that. But he doesn't really impress me defensively. He's fine. You can run him. He just doesn't do anything defensively at a very high level. Drazen Petrovic up next. He is F tier. If you got Drazen, I'm sorry. In any way, if you got an unauctionable, unsellable Drazen like me in the No Money Spent Squad series, I'm sorry. If you spent your MT on Drazen because you thought he could be a good shooter for you, I'm even more sorry. Card is so bad in my team, not elite at all. Vince Carter up next, A tier. Vince Carter is really, really solid in my team, and so is Dr. J. I'd rank these guys at A tier like this, probably. No, I'd rank them like this. I do think D-Book's probably the best, Dr. J number 2, and Vince number 3. But I do think they are on that same A tier level. That's my opinion as I'm going through doing this tier list. Next up, guys, Mitch Richmond. I do think Mitch Richmond is a step below everybody at A tier, but I like Mitch. I got Mitch on my No Money Spent Squad series because he was a free grind. You could grind out the Ruby for free. His Evo is super easy to do. And I did that on my No Money Spent Squad series. And I really enjoy using Mitch Richmond. He is not bad at all. I like him definitely more than Dominic and Clyde. Can definitely create some of his own opportunities. J.R. Smith up next. I know he has a new duo, but I mean, I don't see it with J.R. Smith. His release is not great. Offensively, he's not, outstanding. And defensively, J.R. Smith's never going to be great. So C tier is where I'm going with Mr. J.R. Smith. Trace McGrady up next, S tier. I do think when you think about complete shooting guards in my team, you gotta think about Trace McGrady. Is he, in my opinion, the best shooting guard in the game? No, but again, most complete, he's definitely up there and has to be in contention for that. 6'8", shoots the ball well, really solid. Grant Hill up next. I'm gonna throw him in B tier. Doesn't do anything crazy good, but he is a solid small forward that can just hold it down. Not my favorite Ammy when it comes down to the small forward position, but he definitely deserves your guys' respect for at least being solid enough to play in my team. Comes down to the small forward position. I'm going to do this. Scottie Pippen S tier, Grant Hill A tier. I think that's, that's valid, right? Grant Hill is better than everybody at B tier, in my opinion. I'm going to move Bam up a tier as well. But I do think that when you compare the cards side by side, stat-wise, there's not much difference. But when you play with Scottie Pippen and compare him to Grant Hill, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, Scottie Pippen just is, in my opinion, that little more elite than a guy like Grant Hill. His release is better. He's going to get you more stops just from top to bottom. In my opinion, again, a more complete option in my team. Next up, guys, we do see Anthony Davis. AD is S tier. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No questions asked. Anthony Davis is absolutely elite. And I don't know how long he's going to play for, but that's really not on my radar right now. He plays right now. I got no issues with replacing him anytime soon. The one thing that's sad about Anthony Davis is his price. And I say it's sad for the people that have him, right? If you bought AD for pretty expensive, his price is going down basically every week. So every week you hold on to AD, the more MT you lose. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do when AD is that elite. Blake Griffin up next, A tier for Blake Griffin. He gives you something different on the court compared to a guy like Bam Adebayo, but both cards are really solid options in my team. I do think Blake he's just not as good as, a Blake card's been in the past. I feel like Blake Griffin, when he has came out in early stages of my team, has always been like the best power forward center in the entire game. This Blake, I don't think is quite to that level, but he is still absolutely elite in my team. Kevin Love up next. I play him in the No Money Spent Squad series. That doesn't mean I love him. He's going to go B tier. I do like him more than Al Horford. That needs to be stated. That needs to be said. The Hall of Fame rebound chaser for Kevin Love is nice, but again, he is just not that next level of good. Karl Anthony Towns up next, B tier. I don't got Cat, so I can't really make too many comments on the card. One thing I will say about Cat is until they give him a better release, because his release for year after year is not good. It's not the same as it has been in the past, but it's still not good. Until he gets a new release, I don't think Cat's ever going to be that next level good. That's my firm opinion on him. He's not horrible. His release just leaves a lot to be desired. Larry Bird up next. I'm going to throw him in B tier. I like Grant Hill more than Larry Bird. It's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think his speed's better. Yes, Larry might shoot the ball better, but that's about it, right? Larry Bird's going to shoot the ball better than Grant Hill, but when you compare the cards side by side, what else does Larry Bird really give you over Grant Hill? I'd go as far as to saying I think Grant Hill is one of the most underrated cards in my team as it stands right now. Next up, guys, Zion Williamson. I'm throwing him at D tier. Look, I know there's going to be some guys out there that's like, Zion's pretty good, Ty. You just don't know how to use him. Okay, I get it, right? I get it. If you want to make a stand for Zion, do what you got to do. He is 6'6", and he can't shoot. How am I supposed to vouch for a guy that is 6'6" and can't shoot in my team in a game in which shooting is at the utmost importance and value? It's just hard for me to stand up for Zion when he cannot knock down shots. Draymond Green up next. I'm going to go B tier without the duo. With the duo, he is S tier. So if you're running Steph Curry, just know with the duo, Draymond Green is that next level good. Without the duo, B tier. He's still going to defend, but his three ball goes way down without the duo. And just as an overall card, he's not even that same type of level. B tier without the duo. With the duo, he would be at S tier. Sean Kemp up next. A card that I've thought about locking in for, just for the sole fact of I don't have that many great power forward centers. Just don't think he's worth the lock-in. Even if you have Mitch Richmond, you have to spend a lot of MT on those cards. But if you got Sean Kemp, he can play at A tier. No issues with that. Marc Gasol up next. Another A tier center. I like Marc Gasol. Where it all starts for me and Marc Gasol is his player model and player build. He's going to play great defense, and he's got a wide player build. Marc Gasol this year, though, is 6'11" compared to past years where he has been 7'1". And that's kind of a huge difference. And it cannot go unnoticed. But still, Marc Gasol does enough for me to stay at A tier. Bill Walton up next, D tier. I don't see it out of Bill Walton. He can't shoot. I know his speed is fine. He's only 6'11". I feel bad for Bill Walton because he's just not good. If you want to run an inside big, just run Ben Wallace instead. He is a lot better than Bill Walton. Ben Wallace is way too low on this, though. Way too low. Ben Wallace, I don't know why I ever put Ben Wallace at C tier. He's way better than that. At minimum, B tier, right? That's where I'm going to put Ben Wallace. I like Ben Wallace, though. The problem with Ben Wallace compared to all the other bigs at A tier is Ben Wallace just simply can't shoot. And he's only 6'9". That's the problem with a big Ben in my team. Hakeem the Dream up next, B tier as well, right? Right with Ben Wallace, neither of them can shoot. Obviously, Hakeem is taller. Ben Wallace is maybe a little faster. Both the cards, I think, are deserving of B tier. Any higher than that, you can debate it. I think B tier is the right spot, though. Jerome Kersey up next. I'm just not a fan. I'll put him at B tier because I think he does a lot on the court for you guys. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. He's C tier. I'm sorry, Jerome Kersey. I don't see it with your card. I don't. You can't really shoot. You're not it. I'm sorry, guys, for all the Jerome Kersey stands out there. I'm sorry. I don't see it with the card. Terry, man, until they update you, you're C tier. Terry is absolutely horrible. Do I expect him to get updated? Yes, absolutely. But as it stands right now, he's lucky to even be in C tier. That's how bad they made Terry in my team. Don't ask me why they made him bad. I can't tell you, but he is not good. Donovan Mitchell up next, S tier. Donovan Mitchell is one of the best point guards in my team. One of them. I'm not saying he's the best. One of the best point guards in my team. If you buy the Pro Pass or Hall of Fame Pass, look, you're going to get one of the overall best point guards in the game in Donovan Mitchell. What you make of him, what you do with him, that's totally up to you, but he is one of the best point guards in the game. Glenn Robinson up next. He's really good. A tier is where Glenn belongs. Now, I don't think he's worth buying, okay? I don't think, either the Tim Duncan or the Melo are worth locking in. But if you get Glenn, he can play for you guys, okay? So if you grind for that AMI equal chance pack and Glenn pops out of there, you got blessed and you got lucky because the card is absolutely outstanding. George Mikan, the Mikan man up next. He's going B tier. He's not horrible, okay? But he's not great on the court. That's my opinion on George Mikan. If you're really in need of a center, and again, you pull him out of that free AMI pack, he can play. I don't love George Mikan in my team. Kevin McHale's a garbage, man. I'm sorry, Kevin McHale. You get him on your road to level 40, but he's not good at all. Darren Williams, another garbage, man. If you want to think Darren Williams is good, go get him and shoot with him. He's not good. I'm telling you guys right now. I got Darren Williams on my TyDeBo 24 account, my good account, and he will never touch the floor for me. Michael Finley up next. I haven't used Michael Finley, so it's kind of hard for me to say. Right now, I'm going to put him at B tier, but again, I've not used his release. I do know Michael Finley's shooting-wise, he's going to be outstanding. But outside of shooting the ball, I just don't know if he gives you that much on the court. Again, he's going to shoot the ball well. I'm not arguing against that or for that. But outside of him shooting the ball at an elite level, what else does he give you on the court? That's the big question I would have for Michael Finley. Because look, shooting the ball is important. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, because it is absolutely super important. But if that is the only thing you're giving me on the court, and we're in what season? We're in season 2 now. I had to stop and think for a sec. That's the kind of big red flag that I would have with my man Michael Finley. Next up, Oscar Robertson. I don't mind Oscar. I think Oscar is A tier. He provides height at that point guard position. And for that alone, I think A tier is where he belongs. You could argue, him in B tier, I guess. But I think A tier is the perfect spot. I think side by side, he is better than a guy like Damian Lillard. I can't even argue against that, because I think he is. But outside of that, I can't put him any higher. And even for me, I'd probably rather run Dame just because he's going to be more fun to use than Oscar. But Oscar, as far as a, just all around point guard, he can hold it down at a really high level. Isaiah Thomas, Zeke up next. Look, I'm going to go B tier. There are some people out there that will hype Isaiah Thomas up and basically talk to me all day long about, oh, people are sleeping on Isaiah Thomas. Now, here's the deal, guys. I don't want to discredit anybody for thinking that, because Isaiah Thomas is fine, and badge-wise, he is really, really good. But outside of his badges, okay, what is the card really providing for you on the court? He's undersized. His three ball is not super high. I know defensively he's fine, but again, just from top to bottom, I can't go any higher with Zeke in my team. Derrick Rose, I'll go B tier as well. Some people are Derrick Rose stans, still to this day. Look, I got Derrick Rose because I locked in for T-Mac, and man, D-Rose was not what I was expecting. I'm not trying to sit here and slander D-Rose because, again, I like him. He was one of my favorite players growing up, but in this my team, he is not great. Kawhi Leonard S tier. With Marc Gasol being the deal of the day, if you want Kawhi, do what you got to do. I do not think he's worth it, though. I still do not think locking in sets is a way to success this year. I know a lot of people are like, well, Ty, the card grading, or you're going to have to eventually. Basically, people are mad that you lose 40% or lose 60% of your MT off the top. And I get that. I value that. But instead of getting Kawhi Leonard, I'd get Michael Jordan, grind that 50K challenge out, and grade him and see where you're at MT-wise after that. That's what I would recommend if you are thinking about getting Kawhi Leonard. Just compare Kawhi to getting Michael Jordan and go from there. Dominique Wilkins, already covered him. AI up next. AI is a garbage, man. I'm throwing him in D tier. And I hate Darren Williams. I don't think Darren Williams is good at all this year. But when you're comparing Darren Williams to AI, D-Will's got the advantage. I'm sorry, AI. Another year of you being the absolute garbage, man, in my team. Surprise, surprise. Never surprised at that. Ja Morant up next. I'm going to throw Ja Morant into B tier. I personally do like him more than Derrick Rose. That's my personal opinion, but he's still not great. For me, with Ja Morant, he doesn't defend well. Him shooting the ball is not that great either. Yes, he can attack the rim with the best of them, but I just do not love Ja. I'm using him on my No Money Spent Squad series right now, but that doesn't mean I love him. Jamal Murray up next, C tier. Look, if you locked in for Jamal Murray, all I can really say is I'm sorry. He's not very good in my team, at least from what I've seen. Jason Williams, D tier, right there with Allen Iverson. Garbage men. Both of them are small. Both of them are short. Both of them very limited on the court overall. Not a fan of either of them in my team. Jason Tatum, a guy I still am a big fan of. I'm going to go A tier with Jason Tatum. If you want to put him in S tier, I get it. Because as far as complete small forwards are concerned in my team, he is one of still the most complete small forwards. There are not that many more complete small forwards than JT. For me, the problem is at the small forward position, I want a pure lock type of player at the small forward position. Jason Tatum, as good as he is, as all around as he is, he's not a pure lock at that position. Jerry West up next. He's going to shoot the ball well. I'll put him at C tier, but I'm sorry if you use your promo on Jerry West in my team. Joe Dumars up next. He's absolutely fantastic. A tier is Joe Dumars. He can defend. He can knock down shots. Joe Dumars, if you got him in the promo pack and don't want to spend a bunch of MT, he's a perfect option at that point guard position. He absolutely is. He's going to play defense, knock down that occasional shot. And what else do you need on the court? Klay Thompson up next. He is going into A tier. Klay's going to shoot the ball well, play great defense. Problem is, Is he going to be able to be your primary ball handler? No. Is he offensively that good outside of shooting the ball? No. He is deserving of A tier because of how great he is on the defensive end of the court. Magic Johnson, I'm going to go, I mean, here's the deal. I'm going to move Bill Walton up a tier. Magic Johnson, you're going to go C tier. I don't hate Magic Johnson enough to put him at D tier, but I thought about it because for me, if Magic Johnson at 6'9" is my center, I don't need him to make plays. And that's kind of why you got to run Magic. If you want to run him at like a point center type of player, that's where Magic Johnson is useful. For me though, that's not useful. I don't need him to do that. He basically is there on the court, but not really doing anything of value for me. Nate Thurman, wherever Ben Wallace is, I'm going to go B tier for both of them. Look, I get it, right? I love Nate Thurman. I love Ben Wallace especially. I've used Ben Wallace a ton. But if you're at this stage, a center that cannot shoot the basketball, there's a ceiling for how high you can go. And I think that ceiling, unless you're Shaq or Wilt, is B tier. Pau Gasol, haven't used him. I'm actually getting somewhat close to getting him on my TyDeBo 24 count. The problem is, I just don't think he plays at this stage. That's the problem with Pau Gasol. As much as I want to get him and use him, when I get him, I just don't think he ultimately is going to play. Rick Barry, he's D tier. Rick Barry is not good in my team. Sam Jones, I guess I'll go, no, I'm going D tier with Sam Jones. Sam Jones is not good. He's 6'4". He's way worse than any of the other shooting guards at C tier. Rick Barry, a promo card that's not good. Not going to hype up either of them. Last but certainly least, Tom Gugliotta. These last three cards that I'm talking about is Sam Jones, Rick Barry, and Tom Gugliotta. What am I supposed to say positive about any of them? They all stink. I'm not going to sit here and hype up any of them. They are all garbage men in my team. That's going to wrap it up for our tier list today. I need to know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. AME tier, man. You have to be elite of elite to be S tier. Really solid A tier, really good B tier. C tier or lower are cards I probably would recommend not using or trying to get out of your lineup as soon as possible. Even with Clyde Dominique and Al Horford, they're fine. But even on my No Money Spent Squad series, I'm going to try to get rid of them sooner rather than later compared to some of my other cards. Drop a like on it, subscribe if you are new. As always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.